Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I would like to present our research that written by Pak Muhammad Asral and me, Sofyan Wahyudi, entitled Supplier Performance Analysis in Food Industry, a Data and Development Analysis and Statistical Approach. First, research background. We are focused on supply chain management and focus on procurement department that focus on supplier management, especially supplier qualification and supplier evaluation. Chopra and Mendel in 2013 state that supply chain operation is not only pay attention into factory, but also it must consider transportation, distribution, marketing, strategy, even upstream and downstream parts. Supply chain management is an important and complex process within the food manufacturing industry. Supply chain management in food industry comprises stakeholders to achieve goals. Supplier performance need to be evaluated to control the supply chain product quality and performance. So we focus on supply chain in food industry, start from purchase order to receiving the product at warehouse. We study for some previous research, for example, research by Banayan et al. 2018 and Liu et al. 2019 that using fuzzy technique methods and analytical hierarchy process and topsis that the study aims to supply performance at agri-food industry, and then some previous research from Hamed et al., Dobos, Foros, Murty, and Goswami and Gage. The number of methods in supply selection and evaluation has grown extensively. And start from the complexity of decision making and supplier analysis in industry by DeVoe 2001, generally divided into two types. It is qualitative and quantitative. We state that most literatures are only evaluate supplier performance without further analysis, especially in data attribute and correlation of the supplier criteria. A huge of data in supplier performance offers opportunity to discuss and find strategy and solution to keep supplier performance in the right side. Data attribute analysis with a simple statistical and data science approach are necessary to find the solution in supplier performance supplier performance improvement. Using data and development analysis and statistical analysis for the method. This study aims to evaluate supplier performance based on specific criteria and explore the correlation of the criteria to improve supplier performance. This is the results from framework. First, start and then analyze supplier selection and evaluation criteria. Next, supplier selection and evaluation criteria, and then data acquisition and collection, and then pre-processing data, and we using data and development analysis as a method to get supplier performance, and then supplier criteria analysis using statistical approach, and we get supplier criteria correlation to performance and further recommendation, and finally end. We decide 5 supplier performance criteria based on some previous research. Criteria number 1 is raw material price. It is contain raw material price and cost of delivery from the supplier to the warehouse. Based on research by Weber et al., 1991, and then Needed and Hill 1992, and then Resetor 2010. And then criteria number 2 is customer care and responsiveness. It is supply response performance to provide materials for factory. And criteria number 3 is raw material quality. This is the raw material meet the factory requirements for production quality and characteristic. And criteria number 4 is perfect order fulfillment. It is supplier commitment to deliver product quantity as required by factory. And the last criteria is on-time delivery. It is supplier commitment to deliver material on time. And then we collect a data set. There is 216 pair data set we collect from food manufacturing company from the last 3 months. This data set 216, we normalize the data to get range from 0 to 100. This is the data attribute. For criteria number 1 is raw material price. The unit of criteria is dollar because this is the price. And from 216, the minimum point is 4, and the maximum point is 4.12, and the standard is 0.029. The target is minimum, means the minimum score greater than the maximum score. And criteria number 2 is customer care and responsiveness. The unit is rating. The minimum score is 40 and the maximum score is 90. And the target is maximum, means the maximum score greater than the minimum score. And criteria number 3, number 4, and number 5 is same with criteria number 2, that the target is maximum score. This is the data sample and pre-processing. I show the random data from, this is the 5 random data. For example, criteria number 1, the real data set is 4.04. After we normalize, we get 80.00. And then criteria number 2 is real data set is 82.50. After the normalized data set, we get 82.50. And then criteria number 3 is 4.17, and then normalized to 95.83, and so on. And then after we normalize the data, we process the data using we process the data to find efficiency score using software DAP 2.0. Before we processing data, we decide the DAR decision model. This DAR decision model used in input oriented, that with the orientation of this model focus on raw material price and customer care and responsiveness. And the output is raw material quality, perfect order fulfillment, and on-time delivery. And the formula to get the maximized efficiency is the MU input, means decision making unit input, divide decision making unit output. And we process the 216 data after normalized using software DEAP 2.1, and we get this data, supply performance efficiency score, using DEA. And this is the result. The number supplier with efficient performance score is 84, means 38.8%. efficient, and then the numbers supplier with of inefficient performance score is 132, means 61.1% of inefficient. Okay, this is the supply criteria correlation to supply performance score. Present correlation to supply performance. Only 2 that have plus score and 3 with minus score. The plus score is raw material price and perfect order fulfillment. So we could say that only 2, raw material price and perfect order fulfillment correlation to supply performance propose improvements. The study found that the previous analysis is limited supply performance measurement with no further exploration the impact of criteria to supply chain performance. To define supply performance, it needs supply criteria definition, which was adapted from literature review. This study has explored 5 supply criteria involving raw material price, customer care and responsiveness, raw material quality, perfect order fulfillment, and on-time delivery performance to evaluate supply performance. So the conclusion is most of the supply performance are inefficient and only 38.8% are efficient. And the conclusion number 2 is statistical analysis of this research recommends for food industry to control with raw material price and perfect order fulfillment score to improve supply performance. Only 2 criteria. And the suggestion is for food future research study in supplier performance analysis needs experience, expert validation, and cost benefit analysis to supply chain and firm performance. This is the references of our study, and then this is the bibliography. Okay, that's all. Thank you.